welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, my name is Chloe and I am a full-time eBay reseller, and that is how I earn a living. Today's video is going to be a slightly different one. I am going to talk about my recent sight loss and how I've adapted my business to work around that, and what things I've changed basically to mean that I can continue selling on eBay and continue running my business without too much difficulty. I mean, things have changed, but that's just how it is. Luckily, this kind of business you can adapt to suit your needs, so to speak. If you are completely new here, I will leave videos in the description and possibly one linked up there, talking in a little bit more detail about my health condition and my health issues that I went through last year as the reason as to why I've lost my sight. I will briefly talk about it now, so if you have already watched those videos you might want to skip ahead a little bit. I have a condition called idiopathic intracranial hypertension, which basically means I have too much spinal fluid in my brain, well, around my brain and around my eyes and optic nerves, and it builds up, like it goes up but it can't come back down. Everybody has spinal fluid that goes up there, but usually it comes back down. Mine doesn't, don't really know why. That's what the idiopathic part of it means. So it builds up over time, and the pressure obviously causes a lot of headaches, it causes extreme fatigue, and then it also can cause damage to your eyes, swelling to your optic nerves and the discs at the back of your eyes, and if left for long enough or if it's severe enough, can cause permanent scarring and permanent damage to your optic nerves. The swelling was very bad in mine, and it was left for, well, it wasn't actually left for that long. I think it's more the fact that the swelling, the pressure got very, very high, and because they tried to rectify it with surgery, I had what is called a VP shunt, which is basically a plumbing essentially, to help drain the fluid from my brain. I had 3 operations because the first 2 failed, and if the first 2 didn't fail, then maybe my eyes wouldn't have been permanently damaged. However, unfortunately they did. Nobody's fault, just my ventricles in my brain are quite small and the positioning wasn't quite right. So they did fail, unfortunately, the first 2, and that means that the pressure was still there. It wasn't draining correctly, so the pressure was left up around my eyes for a little bit too long, and it caused permanent scarring and permanent damage to my optic nerves, which means that my optic nerves are now thinned, what's called atrophied, and there is no way of fixing that. We don't know whether it's going to continue. There is no swelling there now. My VP shunt now works, so it is draining, which is brilliant. There is a possibility that it may need readjusting at some point in the future, in a few years' time. They don't tend to last forever, but it's just one of those things. So in a few years' time I may need it redone again, but hopefully it'll last a few years and I don't have to worry about that for a while. But the damage that it's caused to my eyes is something that unfortunately cannot be reversed. We do not know whether it's going to continue worsening, because at the minute it's still quite early days. The damage that it's left behind has taken some getting used to. I am left with pretty much no peripheral vision, so I've got very tunneled vision. I can only see right in front of me. If you are standing next to me silently, I will not know you're there. I cannot see my hand here. I can see it in my phone. I'm filming on my phone with it facing me, so I can see it in my phone screen that it is there. However, I cannot see it next to me right now. I cannot see that it is here. I'm waving it and I cannot see that it is here. I don't have that vision. If I put my hand here, I cannot see it. The bottom half of my eyes, I can't see it. When I'm walking along, like when I have to look at the floor basically in front of me when I walk along to make sure I don't trip on anything. I'm constantly tripping over kids' toys and dogs' toys in the house because I can't see the floor when I'm walking unless I look at the floor. So I'm constantly looking at the floor when I'm walking along. The same when I'm out, I have to look up and down all the time to make sure that I'm not tripping on anything. And so yeah, it's basically like I'm looking through tiny little holes. My right eye is worse with the tunnelling. It's a lot more restricted. My left eye is a little more blurry. I can read writing. It doesn't have to be necessarily really zoomed in, but the lighting has to be really good. The contrast has to be really good. I'm having quite a lot of issues with lighting and contrast, and if it's quite a dark day, then I need lots of lights on in the house. I'm struggling with lighting quite bad. But then also opposite end of the spectrum, I'm really struggling if it's really bright, because I'm having really bad glare from everything and it just completely blocks out any vision. I go completely blind. So yeah, it's finding that balance is really difficult at the moment. I can be fine one day, really bad the next. If I get slightly tired, it completely goes. So it's not, I always thought, before I had any issues with my eyesight, I always thought that blindness was, you were either blind or you weren't. Like, I was really naive and I was really ignorant to it. I'll hold my hands up and say that I was really ignorant to blindness. I thought that somebody was either blind or they weren't. I knew that you could have certain types of blindness. I knew that you could be colourblind. I knew that you could have I knew that you could have your loss of central vision, loss of peripherals, and I knew that you could have loss of central and just have peripheral vision. But I didn't realise there could be quite such a spectrum of blindness. And there really is. Like, there's so many, it's so complicated and it's really hard to explain to somebody when you're talking to somebody about a vision impairment. Like, it's really hard to explain. I cannot explain to somebody, I can't just sit down and explain to somebody what I see. When I try and talk to my ophthalmologist about it, it's really difficult. One really good way of explaining it, well, not a really good way, but the best way I found of explaining it is, if you think about an old TV screen, how it used to be, old TV screens used to have the grey static. That is covering my vision all the time. Like, that's static. And that makes it that I'm trying to focus on things really hard all the time, which gives me eye pain all the time. I've constantly got eye pain. Like, my optic nerves are in pain all the time, which is, you know, I'm getting used to it. It's fine. It's not the end of the world, but it's painful. I think that's the best way of, like, I think that's the best job I can do of explaining it, is I've got no peripheral vision. I'm really sensitive to light, really light dependent on how much I can see, really difficult with contrast, and yeah, that's pretty much it. So I'm going to share with you a few tools that I use to make reselling and life a little bit easier, and then I'll explain how I've changed my business a little bit to help continue, I guess, reselling even though I struggle with my vision. So the most useful tool when I'm out and about with reselling is my new cane. It folds up like this, and this is for when I go out sourcing. I mean, I use this in everyday life when I'm out. I don't need to use it all the time. I use it when I'm out on my own, when I take the kids to school, because the school gates are really busy, and because I cannot see next to me and I cannot see, like, below my nose, when there's children running around in and out of the gates, I am going to send them flying. So this is called an identification cane. It is not one of those canes that you sweep across the floor. Mine is very scratched now because I trail it along the wall sometimes, so that I don't hit anybody. I stick to the wall and trail this across the wall. As you can see, it's quite small and it folds up lovely, and then this goes on my wrist, and it's called an identification cane. It's just so that other people are aware that I have a vision impairment, and it just means that they can give me a little bit of extra space, and just so that I don't bump into them, because I will. If I forget to take this anywhere and I'm on my own, I'm going to be bumping into people. If I forget this when I'm with my husband, it's not really a big deal because I can hold on to him and it's fine. If I forget this when I'm on my own, I'm probably going to bump into things because, like I said, I can only see when I'm right in front of me. I can't see anywhere next to me or below me. So, and it folds up really small to go in my handbag, and yeah, it's really useful. And the next thing that I use when I'm out and about is just a simple pair of sunglasses. However, these are Polaroid sunglasses, so they completely change the light for me, especially when I'm in the car. I mean, they do not suit me very much. However, I got them from a wholesale box, so I didn't choose these sunglasses. These sunglasses just came with a wholesale box. They are proper Polaroid ones and they work really, really well. They block out pretty much all light. I can't really see very much in them at all. However, they're great for in the car because the sun really, really hurts my eyes. And if I'm out and about walking and I can't see anything at all, so they're really good. I don't drive the car, by the way, before anybody asks. I mean, I never really drove the car anyway because I'm a really anxious driver. However, I definitely don't drive the car now. Okay, the next one I was bought as a gift by my dad and for Christmas, and it's actually really, really useful. This is a screen reader. It is a digital screen reader. I'll turn it on so you can see. I have actually got a book that I can right next to me. That's useful, so I can show you exactly how it works. It is going to be backwards, unfortunately. I don't know how to flip the screen. There you go. You can see that you put it on the screen, and at the minute I've got it set to go to invert the colours because that is how I read now. That is how all my screens are black background with white writing because of the contrast. That's how I need my screens now. My phone screen is like it, my computer screen is like it. I just find it easier. So this is brilliant for, oh, it's beeping at me because I pressed the wrong button. This is brilliant for if we go out and I need to read labels, or if I need to read a menu, because I couldn't read a menu, and because of the contrast of the writing, if it's really light writing or a really light background on a food menu, I can't read it. So this is really, really good because it changes it to black and white. Also, how I take photographs has also changed a little bit. I used to have huge softbox lighting. However, not being able to see right next to me, that was going to be a huge issue with the feet and with obviously the spokes of the frame, bumping into them, knocking them over. They're just not practical anymore for me. So I now just use a plug-in daylight bulb, and this clips onto anything, so I can clip it wherever I go. I still use one of the tripod frames from my softbox lighting. I just taken the box off and I use one frame, one bulb, and I can move it around wherever I want to, and it clips. And this is a daylight bulb, so it's white, a white bulb, and it just plugs in. And my husband bought this from a shop up the road. It's just like a normal hardware store, like a DIY kind of store. And it just has a plug. I also edit them using an app called PicTapGo, which I will leave a picture of the app up there so you can see what it looks like. And just to brighten them a little bit, because that does leave shadows, which I've just come to terms with, and I accept that there's shadows in it now because I only use one light rather than two, because if I have one either side of me, I am going to trip over them, I'm going to bump into them. So for safety, I only use one. And I think, actually no, there is one more thing which I have used in the past and I've had for a long time. So it's not a new item, but it's extremely helpful now. And that is this big light box. There is something in there at the minute. There's bags in there. This huge light box. It's not huge, but it looks huge. On camera, it looks huge, but it's not. And the reason this is so helpful now is because it's so bright and it just helps. Like, it helps me see things in detail. It helps with my photos now. It helps me see if anything has any flaws on it. It's just really useful. And I've changed the type of things that I sell now, so this gets used pretty much daily, whereas before I barely used it. I use it all the time now, so this is really, really handy. I have this, I think I had it from Amazon, this one. This is my second one. I did have two, but the first one broke, and this one is actually really good. It's a decent size. I would maybe like a bigger one, but the only problem is I wouldn't really have anywhere to store it, and this is really handy size. And yeah, I think it's great. And the light, it has 3 different lights. I mean, the lights, as you can see at the top, in a circle, and it does fold down flat as well. It comes with a case and a couple of different backgrounds. Just type photo light box into Amazon. I won't be able to find the exact link for it because I bought it a while ago. But there's loads on Amazon. There's absolutely tons. So yeah, they're the items that I rely on pretty much daily, which are really helpful for me. The ways in which I've changed my business are mainly I've changed what I sell. I still sell women's clothing now, however I've only just started selling that again. I had stopped selling that because I found it really difficult to deal with because I was too frightened that I was going to miss floors. I wasn't confident in selling it, and I could not go out and source it because I was too unwell. It took me quite a while to feel well again to go out and source it. I couldn't go out sourcing basically. I still haven't gone out sourcing on my own yet. I still have to go out with my husband. I am not confident enough to go out on my own yet, even though I really should, because I live in a town centre, so I could walk there. I'm hoping that soon I'll be confident enough to go out on my own. Fingers crossed. I've thought about it many times, but I'm just not quite there yet. But yeah, I'm now picking up women's clothing again and really enjoying it. I'm really enjoying being able to photograph it again and being able to list it again, because that is what I really love selling. Like, I really enjoy it. However, we are now selling a lot of wholesale, and this has made my life so much easier, and I'm so glad that I took the leap into wholesale because I was so nervous about doing it and I really didn't want to, because it's a lot of money to pump into something that if it doesn't sell, it's like, I don't really want to. And you're not choosing the item, and I resell things because I love giving things a new home. I love going out to source items and then it being secondhand and giving it a new home for somebody to love. It's not just about the making the money, it's about the giving something a new home and a second life, and I love that side of it as well. So with wholesale, you don't get that. It's not fun. You don't get that satisfaction from it. So it was a dull couple of months. It wasn't as exciting, but I'm glad that I did that because it kept the business going. Wholesalers are so easy to find. I just googled and there's so many. There is so many to choose from, so many that do the same sort of thing. Just literally Google it. That's what I did. Go onto Google and Google wholesalers, and you can find, like, Google UK wholesalers, and you can find so many. But then it doesn't have to be. It depends what you want. You can literally find them from anywhere. But yeah, it's not difficult to find a wholesaler. I thought it was, but it took me a couple of days, and you've just got to take the plunge. that's the only way of finding a wholesaler that you like, is you just got to try it for yourself. Don't rely on other people to tell you that this wholesaler is great, because you might not think that it is, and you might go on someone else's review but it might not work for you. You need to find your own wholesaler, because it's fine going off someone else's opinion, but then you could find it disappointing because they're not the items that you enjoy selling, if that makes sense. But yeah, that was the first big thing that we did, was go wholesale. We still use wholesale now, even though we're going outsourcing, but we don't buy as much of it anymore. Maybe like 1 to 2 boxes a month, but I still enjoy it. I do enjoy doing it, but I enjoy sourcing as well because that's the whole reason I got into reselling, was sourcing, charity shopping. Charity shops are amazing, and I'm glad that I get to go out and do that again. The second main thing that I've changed about my business is my husband now does it with me. He never had any part in the reselling side of things, apart from going sourcing with me and taking me sourcing. Now, when we went sourcing together, he kind of just took me and didn't really have any part in it. Now he will go sourcing with me and he will source with me, and he won't just source for stuff that he is interested in. He actually now knows a lot of women's clothing brands and will look at those for me, because he knows that my eyes aren't great, so he looks too. And he also does he does all the posts for me. He takes all the posts to the post office, and he picks and packs most of the posts now. There's a few days a week that I do it when he's at work, and that's only just a recent thing. But yeah, he does all the post and he helps me source, and he's actually cut down to part-time at work, which will be effective in like 2 weeks, and he is going to start helping me with reselling 2 days a week, which is massive. I never thought he would ever do that, because it's just not his thing. However, he's quite enjoying it, so he's going to be helping. So we're going to turn it into something a little bit bigger, and that's really exciting. I can't wait. So we're going to try and look at different things that he's interested in, because he's not interested in the clothing. I love the clothing, he does not. So we're going to try and look at different things. So that's really exciting. I can't wait. So 2 days a week he will be at home working with me, which I'm really excited for. And 3 days a week he will be doing his job. He is a fully trained counsellor and he works in a school. So he really enjoys his job. So there was never a question of him leaving full-time, like leaving work and working with me full-time. That wasn't a question. That wasn't on the cards, because he loves his job. But the fact that he gets to do it part-time with me is great. So those are the main 2 things, was change what we sell and get help. So that's how we changed the business, and also didn't work as much. I've cut down how much I work, because not just for my eyesight and how tired I get, but for my mental health. My mental health struggled a lot last year. I won't go into too much detail, but with everything that happened last year, and obviously going through a pandemic as well at the same time, my mental health struggled a lot. So I've had to let work take a backseat a little bit and accept that, whereas before I would be really harsh on myself and not accept that, and I would be really like, I'd feel like I let myself down and I'd let other people down if I didn't do a certain amount of work. So I've tried to be a little bit softer on myself with that, and if I need a day where I just want to sit on the PlayStation and play The Sims, that's okay, I can do that. And I'm not so harsh on myself. And then I'll have a couple of days where I do loads and loads of work, and I'll have a couple of days where I don't do any work and I don't even turn the computer on, and that's fine. I'm not as harsh on myself as I used to be, and work takes a little bit of a back seat some days, and so I'm probably more of a part-time reseller, not a full-time reseller anymore, but I still work every week. And yeah, that's 3 main things. I've cut down the amount of work, I have changed what I sell, and my husband helps me a lot now. He's in a couple of weeks it will be our business, not just my business. So yeah, those are the 3 main things that I've changed to suit my my requirements, my vision changes, I guess. Vision loss. I don't like to say vision loss, maybe I should just say vision changes. It doesn't feel so harsh. I hope you found that a little bit insightful. It's quite a long video and a very chatty video. I need to go and get a cup of tea, like my throat is dry now. If you did enjoy the video, please don't forget to give it a thumbs up. Please as well, if you have any questions regarding my eBay or my site or my health in general, or just any questions for me at all, please leave them down in the comments below, because I like answering comments. And I am not prude. I don't mind you asking me any questions. I'm not bothered. Like, if you're curious about anything regarding my vision or my health, I'm not shy. I don't mind you asking me those questions. Go for it. I'll answer them. Don't be rude about it, but I'll answer those questions, so I'm not bothered. And yeah, I'll see you in my next video. Thank you for watching, everybody. Bye.